I'm Richard Mullen in the Industrial IoT Business Unit, joined by
Samuel Pasquier. I'm leading Industrial Networking and Security here at Cisco. Very nice to be here.
Love being back on LinkedIn Live, a lot going on. But for those of us that may have not seen us before, explain what we do at the Industrial IoT Business Unit inside Cisco.
Let's start with the beginning. Everyone knows Cisco, IT company. We've been doing networking for more than 40 years now, so quite a lot of things. But the reality is our customer, they need networking beyond the office space, right? Beyond the campus and the branch. And we have environment like you have parking lot, you want to have Wi-Fi in your parking lot when you show up in the morning and you're running late to your meeting, right? You may have distribution center, you may have warehouse where to connect those kind of environment, you need a little bit more rugged networking, right? Then some customer will have a factory. There may be utilities. So you need to bring networking to even more industrial environment where you may have maybe a substation, maybe an industrial automation world. And you have customers all the way that are very more, we'll call heavy industry, oil and gas, refinery, mining environment, and same thing, you want networking. So what we do at Cisco in industrial networking is we take the technology from the IT space and we adapt it, we ruggedize it, we add industrial protocol support all the way to the heavy industry. And we do that having a consistent architecture. There's a common knowledge, common skill set for our customer. iOS 60, Catalyst Center, SD-WAN. So you really have a continuum of the technology being used from the IT space all the way to rugged networking to industrial environment.
Well, and just break that down for our customers and those with us on LinkedIn Live today on just exactly kind of how does our portfolio kind of subdivide? Because doesn't look like that many products. They're packing a lot of features in there.
Well, actually, we have quite a lot of product. We have a full portfolio of industrial switches, different form factor, industrial routing, industrial wireless, and cybersecurity for those industrial environments. That's really a full spectrum of product. We're not going to go through the detail of it. It's all available on Cisco.com, but we are going to maybe focus on what we have done, what's new about it, right?
Right, and that's really what we're going to double click on today is talking about what we just launched at Cisco Live EMEA, how that was received, how that really meshes with the main Cisco message around the network paradigm. The idea that the network is really required for this next evolution that we're seeing into AI. And we're going to focus on really three different areas of that. One is the scalability of your network. How can you really scale that out to different types of use cases and sites? You showed that at that first of all the different types of use cases that we serve. Driving operational simplicity. There's a lot out there and it can be complicated to operate. So how do we use agentic ops to really solve that? And our final point today, we're going to talk about security. How do we fuse that into the network and then also use the ability of really managing multiple sites in the industrial space? Yeah, so do you want to talk a little bit about kind of AI-driven operations and what we're seeing as far as scaling out the network?
Sure. So, when we talk about AI, there's a lot of things happening in the industry with AI. And, I will talk about two use cases, but there's so many. It's really about machine vision. We've seen an explosion of machine vision, camera being used to give vision to the machine to be able to do things, quality inspection and so on. We've seen an increase around mobility, AGVs, AMRs that are moving around in industrial settings. So what we have done, that was last year on Cisco Live US in 2025, is we've launched 19 new switches to connect all those different use cases. So more bandwidth, more performance, deep form factor, more PoE. That's what we've done. We also introduced the concept of Cisco Ultra Reliable Wireless Backhaul, the technology that do point-to-point networking as well as mobility. We introduced that, we merged that with our Wi-Fi 7 portfolio. That's what we've done last year in June 2025, right?
Yeah, and then that really drives us into new use cases, new spaces where we're able to take this technology. And talk a little bit about how we brought cloud into that as well.
So that's interesting. So we launched all those new products, obviously to go through the full spectrum from ruggedized networking all the way to heavy industry. But let's start with what we do on just ruggedized networking. We have a lot of customers that may not be industrial, but they may be like a bank. Can be like a fast food.
You got outdoor areas, right?
Outdoor signage, security cameras that you may have to connect. So you need a little bit of ruggedized networking. So what we have done for the customer is obviously we've launched the switch last year. What we launched this year at Cisco Live in Europe in February 2026 is the ability to manage this IE 3500 DIN-Rail portfolio through the Meraki dashboard. And that is very like a big change and very welcome by the customer, because it gives them a single dashboard to be able to manage their IT environment all the way to their rugged switches, right? So once again, take the example of a parking lot. Your parking lot is connected to an office building. You can manage all of that with Meraki dashboard, all the way to the camera. Your Cisco IE 3500 switches directly managed from the dashboard. You can see your port, you can see your power consumption, you can see the topology of your network. Now, your IE switching are part of this dashboard.
Well, and we loaded up, for example, our IE 3500 series with even more PoE. So you're driving more cameras, you have more things out in the environment, all that managed right here from the dashboard.
Exactly, and obviously that's the start, and you will see much more in the near future. But that's where we really started with that, right?
Yeah, and so you talk about flexibility, but we haven't left our Catalyst Center, legacy behind.
No, so that's why when we look
at
at where our products are being used, rugged networking all the way to, let's say, manufacturing or heavy industry, some of those customers will want an on-prem management platform, and we have Catalyst Center. We are investing in Catalyst Center. We are adding new functionalities there. The key and what is very interesting for our customer is they can buy an IE 3500, and with the same license, they can decide what they want. They want to be managed by Catalyst Center on-prem,
right,
or they want to be managed in the cloud with the Meraki dashboard. So it's really this flexibility, same hardware, same license. You pick what is more convenient for you.
Such a key point for us, even in our business unit, about meeting the customer where they are and really providing, that's going to be a common theme that we're going to talk about today.
Exactly. So today in the Meraki dashboard, the functionalities that you're going to have are going to be maybe more limited to rugged networking.
Yeah.
If you are a customer who want more industrial functionality, maybe the Catalyst Center will be the more adapted platform. So that's an evolution, but that's really what we are offering, right?
Yeah. We'll talk a little bit about, we were talking about the wired space. What about wireless and what we're really doing there as far as combinations and from a management as well as platform?
Obviously, so that's the second piece of this launch is on wireless. So we integrated our Cisco ultra reliable wireless backhaul technology with the Wi-Fi 7 access point, which means from one wireless controller, you can manage Wi-Fi or the Cisco URWB technology for point-to-point and mobility. What we announced just this year in February 2026 is the ability to use Catalyst Center to monitor this entire architecture. So you have a single platform, Catalyst Center, to manage your Wi-Fi as well as your Cisco ultra-reliable wireless backhaul technology. So it's a mouthful.
Well, but it's also just a mouse click in the Catalyst dashboard about what you're turning on and what you're in and how you want to tune the wireless networks. Just really, really powerful.
Yeah, so you can do everything from one single spot.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you talk about that kind of that automation piece, and we think about kind of Catalyst Center, that also brings security up to the forefront. And talk about a little bit of how we're fusing security into the network and really what we see regarding both visibility, segmentation, and then access.
Yeah.
And how we're really.
So obviously, when we think about security in an industrial environment, right, there's a few things. It's very hard to secure what you don't see, what you don't know. So our strategy and what we are really been pushing for is first drive visibility. If you can see what you have, then you can really think about how you may want to do segmentation to protect and limit your attack surface, limit the blast radius if something goes wrong. So our strategy is first get visibility, understand what you have, so you can do protection with segmentation directly from the networking element, from the switches. And once you've done all of that, you know that's always the same thing. You segment everything, and then you need remote access. Because obviously, you have people selling you a machine, where they need to be able to connect remotely to access it. So our strategy has been visibility to drive network segmentation. And once you have done that, make sure we enable remote access in an easy way, all anchor into the network, into our industrial switching portfolio.
Well, these are huge operational environments. And if you think about either a network SOC or an operations piece where you may be looking at multiple sites, how are we making that easier for the customers?
Yeah, so the big news at Cisco Live Europe is really the introduction of CyberVision Site Manager. So the idea is we have one dashboard that can help you to propagate and synchronize the security intelligence across your different sites. So you have one place where you can push this information, you can push your software upgrade to your entire environment. So it's very interesting for our customer who have multi-site. A lot of global companies would be like that. They would have different factories around the globe. Now they have one, I would say, single point to go push upgrade, put threat intelligence through their entire ecosystem.
And it gives such a, not a level playing field, but it really just, it allows all of your entire operation to be on the same security footing. That was huge progress.
And the key thing is, it's leveraging the cloud to be able to push the upgrade and the intelligence, right? I think that's what the customer have been asking in terms of ease of operation, right?
Yeah, and we wouldn't be talking about security unless we were also looking at Splunk and how I can get operational and security integrity across.
Yeah, so that was the second part of the security for industrial enhancement. The thing that we have done is our customers want to have a SOC, they want to be able to see the IT information, but they want the OT to be able to correlate things together. So what we're launching is CyberVision Splunk application, which means from your Splunk dashboard, you can see the information coming from your IT network all the way to your industrial network. Now you have one point of view, one single dashboard to look where you have all the information coming in. And that's really where you get the full power of something like Splunk all the way to the industrial environment, right?
And we already have customers that are doing that or that have been using it.
Yeah, so I mean, one of the customers that was on site, and I encourage the audience to go and check some of the video we've done with them. Carl Zeiss is an amazing company with amazing technology, and they've been using CyberVision for a few years now to do segmentation, driving visibility and segmentation. And instead of me talking about it, I think we should add the audience to just check the video. I think it's very interesting on how they are leveraging CyberVision to really increase the security in their industrial environment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that goes back into, always trying to make it simpler to manage your operational networks. How are we doing that regarding AI and thinking about troubleshooting and kind of first responder type use cases?
So obviously, one of the big news at Cisco Live Europe at the Cisco level was, the idea of agentic ops, right? And so let's take that and see how does it apply to industrial environments. So let's say, both you and I have been visiting a lot of customers. We spend a lot of time meeting, exchanging with customers, understanding their pain point and what they do. And there is one thing that is very clear. When we look at the way our customers are organized, you can think about it as 3 layers of escalation. You'll have the people on the, let's take the example of factory, right? Easy to start. You get a manufacturing environment, you will have the first responder. The people that are on the ground, they are on shift, they are always available, there's always someone on site, someone that is talented to go from changing a conveyor belt to changing a PLC, changing a drive, changing, like have a screwdriver in hand and can do a lot of things. Yeah. Sometimes when something goes wrong, then those people may need to go and escalate to more an OT escalation point, right? I like to take the analogy is, you have the fireman, and sometimes the fireman need to call the doctor. The doctor is not on shift. The doctor may be working 8 hours a day. So if something happens in the middle of the night, then you have to wait for the doctor to be on site, right? For the OT escalation point to be there to help you. And sometimes this OT escalation point, it's actually too complex. It involves maybe more of the IT environment, and you need to have an IT escalation point that is more deeper into the configuration. And we'll call it, to keep the analogy, the surgeon, right? And what we've looked, if we look at that, the fireman, the doctor, the surgeon, is the first responder, right? The people who are on the plant 24 hours a day that are on shift, they deal with a lot of things, and they can do a lot of things. But the challenge is when it touches the network, a lot of the time, it has to go to the second layer to be handled, right? It has to go to the doctor. It has to go to someone that will be able to do more troubleshooting. And every time you go from one layer to the other, then you are wasting time. That's the time that your plant is not running. So we took that as a principle, understanding that and saying, okay, how can we leverage AI to improve, the tool that the first responder have in his toolbox, right? And what we are trying to do is make sure we use AI to solve those use cases, give more power to the first responder. So now they can do more, and they only need to escalate to the next layer, to the OT escalation point, when they already done a lot of analysis, right? And by doing that, by using AI as giving more tools, you actually minimize the time it takes to recover, because then they may be able to do more things. So that's the principle, is leveraging AI, agentic ops for industrial network to solve the easy use case and give more tools to the people that are on shift, people that are on site, right?
That sounds fantastic. I mean, but how's the tool actually work?
So it looks like an application that you go, and actually the person that is on shift can query this application with their own language. I mean, that's something that is super important. As you know, I speak with a French accent.
It reads through that, and there's no problems at all.
Yeah, and sometimes you want to use your natural language to be able to interact, right? So you can go ask questions, and this tool will be able to do things for you. This is right now on alpha, and the beta is going to come at Cisco Live US in June. So we are very excited about that. And maybe the most important is, what does it do?
Yeah.
Let's focus on that, right? So what it do is really, there is really three things. The first one is really about looking into the operational challenge that the customer will have. You know, we see a lot of error where it's a cable that is
loose, it's not plugged in.
Duplex mismatch and those kind of things. So the tool can go and do this kind of troubleshooting for the first responder. Meaning clearly, your PLC is not connected in the middle of the night. You can ask the tool, what's going on with my PLC? And it will go, run some runbooks, try to do some troubleshooting, try to take progress into understanding what's going on, and will, for example, tell you, hey, you need to fix the cable. The cable has been damaged, right? That's the first bucket. The second bucket is really around configuration. And the particular example in a manufacturing environment is people get machine. A lot of those machines come with the same IP address.
Right.
And you need to use technology like layer 2 NAT to be able to map this private IP address that all the machines have to an IP addressing of your plant. The tool can go and troubleshoot those kind of things. If you have a duplicated IP address, it will be able to find those kind of things and help you on that. So that's what we are doing today. The goal is to go to a more agentic kind of behavior, meaning it's running with you, and instead of you querying it, going into a mode where it's always going to run in the background, detect error, and tell you when you need to do things. So, but that's called walk run right now. It's a more tool in the toolbox for the first responder to be able to diagnose more things and to be able to take action and get the plant back online faster.
Well, and it plays into what you were talking about earlier regarding visibility. Like when we were talking about extending out cyber vision, well, now we've got the ability, if you've got visibility, you're doing segmentation strategy, agentic ops just plugs right into that, really helps that uptime issue. It's we really work on getting our solutions to really complement one another.
Exactly. It's really working side by side with the user, right?
And more to come at Cisco Live regarding prevention, production impact.
And that's really when the idea of moving into this agentic mode where it's running side by side with you.
Now, let's leave the plant for a minute and let's just talk about the field environments where we have maybe thousands, tens of thousands of devices, routers, cellular connectivity. Talk about a customer and then also what we've done in that use case to make that even easier.
So like we started, we go from rugged networking to maybe a manufacturing environment and all the way to more specialized industry. If we take the example of utilities, we have an amazing case study available. Take a customer like Enedis. Enedis is using some of our product to connect their grid, to a use case called distribution automation, how to really build your network to distribute electricity and control this grid, right? You get into a situation, Enedis, but we have many other customers where they have 10 of 1,000, 20 of 1,000, 30 of 1,000, even more than that. And then the challenge becomes it's a big network to operate, where you have a lot of router and a lot of configuration that are very similar, like it's a very cookie cutter kind of configuration. And for those customers, we have a tool called Field Network Director that is available, that is really dedicated for the grid to manage the grid and manage those very large scale deployment of router. To give you an idea, it's in the scale of 50,000 router and more, right? That's where we are. And what we've done is sitting with the customer, like this customer intimacy, sitting with them, understanding what they do, understanding the problem. That's where our engineer realized that, hey, we can use AI to solve those kind of things. So we launched at Cisco Live Europe our AI assistant for Cisco Field Network Director. And really the idea is, think about it, is finding the needle in the haystack.
Except the haystack's as big as France.
Exactly, it's a 50,000 router. And you want to find where you have config drift into your router, where you may have certificates that are maybe outdated, where you need to do a change in your VPN configuration and things like that. It's really a tool that helps you to synthesize all this information and make it more consumable for the people who need to operate those kind of environments. So that's what we launched, and we are very excited about that, to have this product available.
Well, and it saves just, when you think about, uptime in the factory, saving a truck roll, in where you've got a huge geographic area that you're servicing, it just makes such a difference in cost and as well as just service reliability for your customer in the electric grid.
No, definitely.
So a lot of exciting stuff that we were talking about at Cisco Live EMEA, and we have more on the road coming up in June when we're going to be at Cisco Live in Las Vegas. So I just encourage our customers, if you've joined us at Cisco Live or you're on the fence about joining us at Cisco Live, we'd love to see you. There is so much that we have that we're going to be announcing. We have different ways to get involved with us. We'll also be at a security summit in Orlando and then in Australia in the November time period.
And the team is very busy, I have to say. It's fascinating to see all the things we can build with AI. Our development, how we can leverage AI to improve the usage and operation in the industrial world. So the team is fully dedicated to that. We have a lot of surprise. I'm dying to share everything.
Yeah.
I've been told not to share anything right now. So we'll wait. We'll come back. We'll come back in June, Richard, right?
Absolutely. We'll be here with even more news that we've got and exciting stories from our customers because they are out there. It's amazing what innovations they're bringing to the market.
Maybe we should tell the listener, please stay engaged with us. Follow our community on LinkedIn. We appreciate your feedback. Give us feedback. We want to continue to leverage that to build even better product. And we'll come back very soon with even more updates.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for watching.